Hi everyone, now we have here a silent way method. Silent way was founded in the early 1970s by Egyptian mathematician and educator Khalid Katigno. It is based on the idea that language learning can enhance in three main types. First is we have discovery rather than teaching, problem solving in target language, and the last, the use of physical tools. Now, in the silent way, the use of the word silent is also essential or important. Now, in the silent way, it is based on the premise that the teacher should be silent as much as possible in order to encourage learners, to talk or to produce much language as possible. So, in the silent way, between the teacher and the learners, the teacher will be silent in order for the learners to produce more language, more as much as possible, and in order for the learners to encourage, to discover, to collaborate, and so on. Now, not literally, the teacher will silent, not literally silence. Now, in the silent way, teacher view as a facilitator of the learning, while above all, the teacher must be seen rather than heard. Rather than heard. That's why in the central of what I've mentioned earlier, the three main types are the tenets that the teacher doesn't teach, but rather than the teachers help students learn.
Hi everyone, we are done tackling about silent way teaching method and its origin. Now we will proceed to the characteristics of the silent way method. So the first characteristic of this method is student-centered learning. So of course, the silent way teaching method is a discovery learning in which suyod sila sa student-centered learning na ang estudyante mismo ang mo-discover, ma-experiment, and ma-explore, no? Sa ila learning process. So the method emphasizes learner autonomy and responsibility. Students actively explore and experiment with language which fosters independent learning. So ang estudyante mismo ang joy responsibility for their own learning. Okay, because matod pa, students learn best when the student discovers something on their own rather than like gikan sa direct instruction from the teacher, which leads sa ato second characteristic, which is the teacher as facilitator. So sa student-centered learning, di ba, ang estudyante ang responsibility sa ila learning process, no, sa ila learnings. Of course, ang role ng teacher is the facilitator or the guide. So the teacher's role is minimal, guiding students instead of explaining language concepts outright. The teacher primarily uses silence, gestures, and visual aids to encourage self-discovery. So, ang teacher is the facilitator or guide. So, siya ang mag-observe sa tibuok klase. Dili siya like ang mo-take over sa tanan. So, since discovery learning man siya, dapat the teacher should put visual aids, no, para mas clear sa mga students. Also, if there are some questions or clarifications ng estudyante, dito na si teacher mo suyod, mo take over. And then the third characteristic is self-correction and peer feedback. So students are encouraged to listen, analyze, and correct themselves or seek guidance from peers rather than rely on direct teacher correction. This builds learner awareness and confidence. So since it is a discovery learning, the students should listen carefully, no, kay diba sila ang ma-explore, sila ang ma-discover, no. So ang estudyante dapat ang mo mag-listen carefully, mo analyze, and also by listening carefully and i-analyze ulit ang istorya ng teacher, makorek ni ija self. Dali siya makahuna-huna na, ay, amo ba dya ini? Ay, amo ba dya ini? So, also, if joy ka jud na di matubag ng estudyante sa ija, kaugalingan, pwede man siya mangutana sa ija tapad, no? Pero kung dili na gud matubag ng ija tapad, that's the time na pwede sila mo doyod sa teacher, mangutana sa teacher. So the next characteristic is use of visual aids. So just like what I have said earlier, no, kay discovery learning man siya, learner centered, no. So ang teacher should put visual aids para jay also guide ang bata, jay matanaw ang bata. So the method heavily relies on visual tools to help students understand structure and pronunciation without translation or excessive explanation. Since nag-focus kita on language learning, no, we have this questionnaire roads and charts like sound, color, and fidel. So those tools is makatabang sa bata na mas masabtan ang ijo tagklase or especially ang language without the teacher. If you are confused or you have questions about these tools, pwede niyo just i-search questionnaire roads or sound, color, no? By that, mas mo broaden pa your understanding about those tools. So the next characteristic is focus on pronunciation and sound awareness. So of course, we are focusing on language, right? So pronunciation is emphasized from the beginning with a sound color chart, helping learners map sounds to colors, aiding in phonetic learning without constant verbal instruction. So, kung na siya like connected just sa visual aid, ang sound, color. So, kung ano like, bagay na siya ng mga, kabay ko muna yung color palette. So, bagay, amo na dyan siya with colors. And then, pinakauna pa, mangutan na si teacher ng mga sound, ng letters, and then, dito, i-identify ng, like, ang color is dyan na naka-identify na kuan na sound. So, that is the sound color. Like, say for example, ang brown. Example raha. Brown. So, kung tudloon ng teacher ang brown, dyan naka-specific na kuan na sound. So, say for example, ang brown is A. Yellow is E. So, kung tudloon ni teacher ang brown, makabayo na ang bata na dyan. Kung tudloon ni teacher ang E, so, kabay na ang mga bata na yellow ang color ng E. So, that's the sound color. The next characteristic is gradual progression and precision. Language is introduced in small, precise steps, encouraging mastery of each concept before moving on. This builds a solid foundation in accuracy and structure. So, of course, dili ang teacher, no, or kita as future educators, dili ta like in silent way method, dili mo proceed ang teacher sa next step or sa next level if jo pay bilin, no one should left behind, matod ba? No student should left behind. So, dapat tanan makasabot first, kay di ba matod pa foundation. Dili makasabot ang bata sa sunod na step kung waya pa siya nakasabot sa first step. So, that is the second to the last characteristic. And last characteristic is silent exploration. Silence gives students the space to think, process and practice without interruption, which promotes deeper engagement with the language. Of course, from the word itself, silent way, teaching method. We have silent exploration, silence. By silence, mas makathink ang bata ng ija. Without why mga interruptions. So, that is all for the characteristics of the silent way teaching method.
So let's proceed to the role of a teacher and student with this method. So the teacher in a silent way method plays a largely facilitative role. The primary responsibility include planning and structuring lessons, providing cues and feedback, managing the classroom, observing and assessing, and then using the silent period. So let's go first with the planning and structuring lessons. So the teacher carefully design lessons around specific linguistic structures and vocabulary. So using appropriate visual aids and materials. So the teacher set up activities lagi na to help student learn. And then let's proceed to the providing cues and feedback. So teacher uses minimal verbal input, primarily relying on gestures, pointing, and other non-verbal cues to guide student toward correct pronunciation and grammar. So, this is providing cues and feedback. Amo lagi ni magkuana para maka-help sa student na masabtan nila. And then, managing the classroom. Dahil sa managing the classroom, teacher creates a supportive and encouraging learning environment, ensuring that student feel comfortable na ma-feel nila na comfortable sila, na kaya nila mo participate na kundiin why judgment na ila ma-feel na kundiin si teacher mag-create ng classroom na kundiin kuan ra siya comfortable ang bata na mo engage sa ija learning. So let's proceed sa observing and assessing. So the teacher closely monitors student progress, noting areas kundiin hain an ila mga strength and weaknesses. So assessment is often informal and focuses siya sa student performance in communicative task. Na kundiin sad iton si teacher nag-observes how student are learning. Na kundi nag-observe siya and nag-assess siya na sa learning nan ija mga student. Then using the silent period. There's a using the silent period, so the teacher strategically utilize periods of silence. Now wherein ang pasabot kay bali si teacher guide radyaon na sa kilid nagbantay tapos ija tag kuan pa itong ija tag pasagdan ng student na mag-discover nan ila learning pero with the guidance sa gihapon na jaon sa ija. So let's proceed to the student role. So the student in silent way method are actively involved in the learning process, taking responsibilities for their own learning. So their roles include active participation, self-correction, collaboration, and then experimentation. There is a active participation, which is students are expected to actively participate with their learning So mo participate sila there's a active participation na kundiin mo actively participate sila sa mga activities na and mo engage sila sa mga materials na tagpuan ni teacher. So they are not passive recipient na na kundiin na azera sila mag-inquiry na mamati sa teacher. No, sila amoy mo discover ng ila learning. Sila ang tawag din so pambali ni siya iton inakuan magud which is student centered na kung din sila ang mag-discover ng ila learning. So let's proceed to self-correction. There is a self-correction, so an student are expected to monitor their own speech and identify errors na kung din sa self-correction didon makuansad nila na makuan kung hain sila na wrong, kung unoy pa'y dapat nila i-improve, kung diin sila nagkamali, pero with the guidance sa gihaponan ni teacher, na dyan sa si teacher na guide sa ila. So, collaboration. There is a collaboration. Student nag-encourage to work together, na mo-collaborate sila and Johnson and supporting each other's learning. Na kundiin, dyan magod di ba dyan sa taguan na sa pakipag-collaborate nila wherein hamok ma-learn ang bata. Dito sa pakipag per interaction is important siya aspect of the method na kundi in John and pakipag-collaborate ni learners sa ija mga kuanrasad co-learners na sa gihapon niya. So, and then experimentation. There is a experimentation and student are mag-encourage to experiment with language, yung mga taking rest and trying out new structure and vocabulary. And there is a experimentation na kundiin maghanap balian, magkuan ang bata na tawag doon na mo-experiment ang bata sa mga language na kung din waya pa nila hibayin na kung din bagan mag-discover sa bali sila. Mag-discover ng mga new language nila pa kay bayi, makuan sad nila didon and mo dyan makuan nila didon ila critical thinking na kung diin mo discover sila with their own na dili o help ni teacher. Na kung di sila raga jud ang mag-discover. So, that's all. Thank you.
So, hi everyone, my name is Camila Rijes and I am the reporter of when and why this method, the silent way method, might be effective. So, when introducing, first is introducing new vocabulary concept. Kumbaga, mag-introduce ko ng word na dili kong familiar sa mga bata. Diyon mga word na kumbaga waya pa nila nabatian. And second is practicing pronunciation and listening skills. Kumbaga as a teacher kabayuta kun unho nato pag pronounce diyon na words and also practice ang mga batang ila listening skills. And third is encouraging student participation and engagement. Encourage the student to participate in the class. And next is managing classroom behavior and discipline. So, as a teacher, you know how to manage the behavior of your learners. Next is differentiating instruction for diverse learners. So, kabayo ko na diverse ang imo mga students, so dapat ang imo instruction is kumbaga flexible, open to all, kumbaga para gajud sa tanan. Why this method might be effective? First, it can reduce the language barriers and anxiety of the learners, enhances visual learning and memory retention, encourage active learning and participation, develop observation, attention and focus, and foster creativity, critical thinking, and problem solving. So, amo dyan ang mga dahilan ng effective dyan na method. Natakol naman nato kayo na kung when and why this silent method is effective, kung manitakol naman nato kung diin siya effective. So first is language learners, which is the foreign language, and next is literacy education, which is include the reading and writing. Special education, which include all types of learners with disabilities, and multilingual classroom, and also teacher training and for non-verbal communication training. So that's all for my part.
So now let's discuss the definition of Suggestopedia.
Suggestopedia is a language learning method developed by Bulgarian psychiatrist and educator Georgi Lusanov, who believed that applying Suggestopedia to foreign second language teaching can greatly enhance learners' learning efficiency and performance. The method takes the students to absorb the target language and to become able to produce the target language in a creative and a spontaneous way. So the acquisition process is a flow of enjoyable and playful activities such as language games, music, basic activities, dances, and dramas. Although the students are exposed to a huge amount of stimuli, they never feel under pressure, stress, or frustrated by this.
Hi again everyone! Since we're done tackling about Suggestopedia method or teaching method, we will proceed to the characteristics of this method. So the first characteristic of this method is relaxed and positive atmosphere. Classes often include comfortable setting, soothing decor, and dim lighting. This helps learners feel at ease and reduces anxiety, making them more open to learning. So since this method is known as the comforting, relaxing, and a positive teaching and learning process, so of course, dapat ang bata is relaxed siya and comfortable. So, para mas ma-relax ang bata and comfortable, of course, dapat ang atmosphere o ang environment ng bata is relaxing, kaaya-aya siya sa mata para dili mas stress ang bata. Dapat limpyo, no? So, the second characteristic is the use of music. So, this method is like unique to the other method is because mugamit ini siya ng music during the teaching and learning process. So, Baroque music, known for its 60 beats per minute rhythm, is often played in the background. It is believed to relax the mind and improve the concentration, helping students absorb language passively. So, the purpose of using music inside the classroom or during the teaching and learning process is that para daw mas ma-relax ang bata o para mas makafocus siya sa kung ano information na taghatag ng teacher. So, that is the purpose of using music in this method. So, the next characteristic is the rule of suggestion. Positive suggestion is central to the method. The teacher uses encouraging language, affirmations, and a relaxed demeanor to foster confidence and reduce the psychological barriers to learning. So, of course, diba, matod pa kaina na this method is comforting. This method is a positive method, no? Or positive learning and teaching process. So, of course, dapat si teacher mogamit siya ng mga positive or mga encouraging languages. Like, dapat positive ramintin ang maglibot na language inside the classroom. So, that is one of the characteristics of method. So, the next characteristic is the peripheral learning approach. So, posters, images, and other materials are used to surround students with language in an unobtrusive way, allowing them to absorb language naturally as they might in an immersive environment. So, in this characteristic, dapat daw ang surrounding ng bata is more on pictures, no, or images na of course, align sa imong klase, nakafocus sa imong klase for them to be more makasabot sa klase. Kay matod pa imin sa peripheral learning theory, no? Mas makasabot ang bata if draw ay mga guide pictures or images sa ila palibot. So that is the sa peripheral learning theory. So which is includes siya sa inina method. So the next characteristic is the use of role play and drama. Students are often encouraged to take on new identities or roles, which makes the experience enjoyable and lowers inhibitions. This approach helps learners feel more comfortable expressing themselves in the target language. Of course, we all know the use of role play and drama inside the classroom. So the last characteristic is this is not the last. This is the last for my part. The next characteristic is teacher's role as a conductor. So the teacher is seen more as a facilitator who carefully orchestrates activities and maintains a positive learning environment. The teacher's voice and energy are deliberately calming and encouraging. So in this characteristic, si teacher ang mag-manage, mag-organize, o mag-maintain. Siya ang mag-maintain ng positive learning environment. Siya ang magplano sa tanan. So of course, si teacher dapat if mag-process siya, dapat calming, entertaining, di ba? And also, sa previous characteristic na mention ako na dapat positive ra ang language na dapat maglibot positive nagikan sa teacher and also dapat sa students. Si teacher ang mag-manage sa tanan. If dry students na like naka-interrupt or dyan mag-agara, mag-samo, si teacher ang manage ng tanan para kalma ang environment. So, that is all for my part. Thank you.
This is the continuation of Mika's report, the characteristic of Suggestopedia. So, emphasis on quantity over precision. So, students with a substantial quantity of language input rather than focusing solely on precision or accuracy in their initial stages of learning. There are 4 pieces lesson in Suggestopedia. So first is presentation. So when we say presentation pieces, the teachers set the stage for learning by creating inviting low-pressure environment. So the teacher introduce the lesson, topic, and objectives, perhaps using props or visual aids to stimulate curiosity. Welcoming atmosphere, fostered with soft lighting, comfortable seating, and sometimes relaxing music to reduce anxiety. So second is concert session. In concert session, they are often split into 2, the active and the passive. So when we see active concert, in this stage, the teacher reads or sings the language material, such as a story, dialogue, or passage, with a loud accompanying music typically desired. So when we see a passive concert, here the teacher continues to read or sing the materials while the students relax and absorb the content subconsciously, often with their eyes closed or in a comfortable posture. Third is elaboration. So when we say elaboration, it provides students with opportunities to interact with the language in a relaxed and playful way. So you give an activities and games like interactive game role play, games, role-playing, or storytelling activities are introduced. So, these activities encourage students to use new vocabulary and phrases without for making mistakes. Fourth is practice. So, when we say practice, students engage in activities that reinforce what they learn. So, you are going to give games and group activities like quizzes, question and answer, games, and role swapping or often used.
So let's proceed to the teacher's role in Suggestopedia. So the teacher's role are creating a conductive learning environment, acting as an authority figure, using positive suggestion, presenting language creativity, and then encourage active participation. So let's go first with creating a conducive learning environment. The teacher is responsible for setting the stage for learning by creating a comfortable, stimulating, and aesthetically pleasing classroom. So this might involve dyan gani mga decoration sa room, and then pwede sa si teacher na magpakuan na dyan calming music. So let's proceed to acting as an authority figure. So the teacher must instill trust and respect in the student. So you as a teacher, dapat makuha mo and trust nan imo mga learners. Makuha mo an ila trust na kundiin comfortable sila sa imo, and then iton ma-feel nila ang pagka-comfortable na kundi dili sila mahadlok. Pero may limit, dili moabot sa point na bagan you as a teacher himuundahan ka nila na higayagain na bagan dili na irespeto. So dapat ikaw may authority sad ka na ikaw gapon diyan sa room, ikaw ang teacher, ikaw ang dako-dako na kundi dapat irespeto ka. So let's proceed to using positive suggestion. So the teacher actively uses positive affirmation and encouragement to create a positive learning atmosphere. So you as a teacher, dapat encourage mo ang student na kaya nila mo answer dapat iton, and then you as a teacher an immoral na i-boost ang ila self-confidence na comfortable sila na mo answer na biskay kun dili man gud iton dapat dili mo ikuan ang ilang mga kuan gani mga negative. Dapat you as a teacher dapat i-boost mo ang ila self-confidence na dili sila masipog mo answer. So let's proceed to the presenting language creativity. So the teacher uses various techniques to present language materials in an engaging and memorable way. So it involves ang mga stories, ano pa man, games, tas mga even role-playing activities na kundiin creative na siya na kundiin ang learning ng bata enjoyable and then lively pa. So, you as a teacher, magkuan ka ng mga activities na dyan sa ila learning, magpakuan ka na imoy kuan dyan mga stories, songs, games, and then even role-playing. Dyan sa role-playing na mga activities para ang learning ng bata, ito, naka-learn pa ang bata, enjoy pa ang bata. So, the last one, which is the encouraging active participation. Yes, of course. So, the teacher encourages students to participate actively in all learning activities. So, encourage mo sila na mo actively participate sila sa ila learning. Na kundiin, unang pagka-learn nila, kung dili sila mo participate. So, you as a teacher, encourage mo sila na mag-participate sila sa mga activities na imo ikuan, ipahimo, tas mga activities lagi na kundiin maka-learn ang bata. So, that's all. Thank you.
And Suggestopedia, a pseudo-passive state for students, means that while they are actively engaged in learning, they are also encouraged to trust this teacher. So as a student, we need to trust our teacher by believing in their guidance and teaching methods without questioning or analyzing too deeply. So the second one is relax and be receptive. By maintaining a calm and open mindset, making it easier for the subconscious to absorb new information. The third one is engage actively in activities while staying open to playful, creative tasks that help reinforce learning. The fourth one is adopt a new identity, allowing them to embrace a new persona which can reduce inhibitions and encourage more natural language use. The last one is trust their intuition. So, allowing their natural responses and instincts to guide their learning instead of overthinking or second guessing themselves. This approach creates a learning atmosphere where students feel comfortable, open to suggestion, and able to absorb language in a deeper, more subconscious manner. So now let's proceed to when this method might be effective. Suggestopedia is most effective when students need an environment that reduces anxiety and encourages confidence. It is particularly useful in settings where students may feel hesitant, stressed, or fearful about language learning. By providing a relaxed and immersive atmosphere, Suggestopedia helps students absorb language intuitively, making it an ideal approach for beginner or hesitant learners, as well as for settings that focus on natural language exposure. So that's all for my part. Thank you.
So why these suggestopedia methods might be effective? First is relaxed learning environment. So Suggestopedia uses music, comfortable seating, and positive suggestions to reduce stress and anxiety, which can help students feel more relaxed. So, an relaxed learning environment is one where students feel comfortable, supported, and free from undue stress. So, it encourages open communication, creativity, and collaboration, often through flexible setting, informal discussions, and focus on student interests. Second is accelerated learning through positive reinforcement. So the method employs the power of suggestion where students are subtly encouraged to believe they can succeed in language learning. Accelerated learning through positive reinforcement. So in this statement, involves using words, praise, or recognition to encourage desired behaviors and boost learning. When students receive positive feedback for their efforts, they are more motivated to engage, retain information, and take on new challenges. Third is use of music. Classical music, particularly Baroque music, is played during learning sessions. Use of music. So, use of music in learning can enhance focus, improve memory, and create a positive and engaging atmosphere. Fourth is playful and enjoyable activities. Lessons often involve games, role-playing, and storytelling. Playful and enjoyable activities are fun, engaging tasks that bring joy and relaxation. So they often involve creativity, social interaction, or physical movement. So like playing games, dancing, or participating in hobbies like painting or crafting. So these activities stimulate the mind, reduce stress, and foster a sense of well-being. Last is large amounts of input. Suggestopedia uses long dialogues and texts, which expose a student to significant amount of language input. So, large amount of input in learning refers to exposing students to a high volume of information or stimuli, such as reading, extensive text, listening to lectures, or engaging in varied experiences.